Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wise Kracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackomberger, and our co-host, John Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wise Kracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
We are back for another episode of Wise Kracks. I'm in Las Vegas, where I always am, and I think Bill's about to bring back. Remember Where's Waldo? We need to bring back Where's Bill, because you're a moving target, Bill. Where are you?
I am in Florida. I'm on the west coast of Florida, where everything closes at like 8 p.m.
Come on, seriously?
Good luck getting like a sandwich at like 9
slice
p.m.
of pizza. Can a slice of pizza happen at 11 p.m.?
No
He
way.
said no. 11's way too gone.
Oh, you get arrested being out at 11 p.m. It seems like the west coast of Florida, from Naples to Fort Myers and in between, and even above, and even Sarasota, it seems like you have to be up with the early crowd. They're out jogging at 5:30, and then they're in bed by 9 p.m. So I find it very interesting. I find it probably a healthy lifestyle, pretty cool, but I'm a very nocturnal guy. Even last night, I stayed at my brother's, and they all went to bed because they have to get up for work in the morning. And I'm up at 2:00 in the morning watching YouTube videos.
Right. Now, what's the closest casino to you right now?
There is a dog tracker. No, not dog track. They stopped them, thank God. Let's see. Let's put
High Lie. Isn't there High Lie out there?
Yeah, High Lie. All right. There's something called Bonita Springs or something. Bonita Springs Poker Room, which is, let's see the distance. Yeah, it's only 30 minutes away. I may even pop in there, but
okay.
It's like just a poker room, and I'm sure they have slots and stuff like that.
Will you maybe sit down and will you play a little poker?
I don't think I could do it. I just can't sit down and it's possible. But when I'm on the East Coast, though, I will go to. There's a place called Mardi Gras Casino. By the way, there's tons of East Coast casinos all throughout. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Hialeah, all the way up the coast. I mean, they're busting out every senior. It's it's a shame when something happens and their grandkids call, their kids call from back east and say, "Oh, what happened? Oh my God, what do you mean Dad's money's gone? That he saved his whole life? He, sold their house for $400,000 up north and retired 20 years ago to Florida with $1 million in the bank. What happened to that money?" And they go, "Oh, well, he'd like to go gamble a little bit, 100 here, 50 here, 1,000 here," and it adds up to. They bust them out. They bust the seniors out. Here. So
that's terrible.
This is the place that money goes to die. But it's social. It's fun. It may keep them alive more too. And if it does, believe it or not, I'm all for it.
That's a good point.
Make them enjoy their life more.
Yeah.
Money is for the living. If you want to give, you give with a warm hand, not a cold hand at the end.
There's a line in Wall Street. You'll remember this line.
I definitely know it, but go ahead.
Money's only something you need in case you don't die tomorrow. That's what Martin Sheen told his son in Wall Street. In a bar in Queens, a little local bar. That's what he told his dad when the kid asked for $300. I'll give it back next month. Yeah. And, so it's one of my favorite movies, by the way. I love Wall Street. Great movie.
Great movie. But anyway, over here and, kind of hanging out and doing some family stuff. I haven't seen my brother in 2 years because of COVID and stuff. So it's nice to see him. I'll be here another day or so, and I'll head back to the East Coast, and East Coast of Florida. I'm going to stay there a night or two. I'm probably going to hang out with Howie Schwab for a day, go to dinner with him. And then I'm going to fly back to Atlantic City, New Jersey, for the draft, New Jersey, to have I'll be there in a couple days.
I drove by the Strip. I was on the Strip yesterday, and what they're doing on I don't know if you've seen it, the Bellagio fountain. They've taken over the Bellagio fountain for the NFL draft, and the red carpet is actually going to be going across the Bellagio fountain. It looks pretty cool. I mean, they're setting it up right now.
Oh yeah. That's a big thing for Vegas.
Yeah.
Big thing. It's real estate wise, I know some guys that are renting out their apartments in like Veer and on the Strip for ridiculous amounts of money. It's a big thing for Vegas, and I hope everyone's safe. And it's not like the NBA All-Star game was years ago where they were dumping tables over and walking out of restaurants and not paying.
Yeah, that's no good. I'll tell you what is good is the game of golf has been really good to you for the last couple of weeks. You're probably excited for whatever the next big match is. Keep the momentum going. What's going on?
Really good tournaments back to back. The Masters and last week at the Heritage, which I was there actually in Hilton Head, and enjoyed that right across from the clubhouse, and had some successful betting weeks. And even for my crack wins guys, we destroyed it in golf the last couple of weeks, and we do every year, every season. We win in golf. So look forward to keeping that going, John.
That is awesome. And you, when you were back at the Heritage, do you meet any of the actual golfers, or I do. I've been with a few of them actually, and I'll give you my story to make you laugh real quick from Hilton Head. So my buddy has a beautiful place on the 18th green overlooking the course. It's fantastic. It's so unbelievable. He has 3 decks. You can watch them on the 18th, putting, pitching, out of the sand trap where Matt Kuchar won a couple of years ago. I was watching that shot, and he won the tournament for the Heritage back in 2014. But back in, I don't know what year it was. God, it's 20 years ago. Not 20, but it's a long time ago. And maybe like 15. So a young golfer, because he's friends with a lot of the caddies and a few of the golfers, and one came over for a barbecue, and he was a little skinny kid, literally, and he was just like, he came over with his girlfriend and had a barbecue with us. He was playing with his first year on the tour, and I told my buddies, that guy will never make it. He's very nice, very kind, and I've lost a lot of money on him over the years, though. Betting him because situationally he just couldn't close a lot, and he did very good at the Masters this year. And that name is Rory McIlroy. Wow!
So I had lunch with him. And I told my buddies he'll never make it. Meanwhile, he's worth over 100 million, 150 million, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so much for my future predicting golfers. Their careers. But anyway, yeah. So I seen Shane Lowry over there. Very nice guy. Took a great photo with my friend's son and gave him his glove. He signed the glove for him. The golfers are very approachable. You just have to know when to approach them. You don't want to approach them during their 18 holes. You approach them usually maybe at the end of the round when they're getting picked up in front of the clubhouse to take back to their condo or wherever they're staying on the golf cart, providing they had a decent round or a good close. And Lowry he played 2 back-to-back tournaments that were fantastic. He won the British Open, won some major tournaments, great guy. And he picked up a nice size payday at Hilton Head. Hilton Head, they love playing Hilton Head. It's a tourist destination for their families. They can bring their wives, their kids, and it's a fantastic time. So real fun time.
Yeah, good stuff. In the boxing world, Errol Spence fought, and he beat Ugas in Dallas. And he almost, I don't know if you saw the fight, but he almost got knocked out by Ugas in the fight. It was kind of weird. The ref kind of stepped in like to stop the action. It was kind of like if you remember when Mayweather knocked out, I just went blank on his name, years ago. Oh man,
I think I know who you're talking about. A real good Mexican fighter.
Yeah.
The ref stopped in.
Yep.
The ref did a terrible job. He's actually a really big
Victor Ortiz. Was it Victor Ortiz?
Victor Ortiz is the guy. He did a good job and the ref did a terrible job. of trying to separate him, and there was no bell, and he literally wind up knocking him out. Yeah. In the middle of it because Ortiz, put his gloves down and stopped because the ref kind of got in the middle of it, like they were stopping.
This was similar to that. This was similar to that, but not as bad. But almost. But Spence recovered and ended up winning the fight, and that's
I'm reading off ESPN. Spence fought for the first time since undergoing surgery to repair a detached retina. He looked better than ever in a TKO victory over Ugas, which unified 3 of the 4 significant welterweight world titles. I'm upset that I missed that because I like Spence. I think he's one of the best fighters pound for pound. Yeah, and he's going to prove that. Spence pushed Ugas, who suffered a broken orbital bone in the 7th round before ringside doctors stopped the fight in the 10th. So after the fight, Spence called out Terrence Crawford, who has the other welterweight belt. That will be a really good fight. He said everybody knows what I want next, and I look forward to to see that. The victory was good enough for Spence to move up 2 spots on ESPN's pound for pound rankings. He's still, of course, he wants to fight Crawford, and he's behind Crawford. So a mega fight between the two will finally end the discussion about who's the best 147 pounder in the world. So that should be fun.
Yeah, and NBA playoffs are in full swing, going pretty much the way I think most people predicted so far, right?
Yeah. There's Phoenix. The odds on Phoenix probably dropped after their game. They were about 4-1. Now they're about 2-1 favored. I'm sorry, but vice versa. They were 2-1. Well, they're not actually 4-1. I see 275 and 3-1. I wouldn't bet them as a future. I can't bet these future.
It's not enough value, right?
No, there's not enough value. Phoenix Suns plus 275, Golden State plus 4-1. The Golden State was 6-1 at the beginning. The Bucks plus 450, Celtics plus 750. There's too much juice in these future odds, so I'm not looking forward to doing that. I think that just betting game by game and being selective on some totals. I don't do sides. I think that's probably the way to go at it. But then again, I have baseball here, so I'm looking forward to beat up the baseball a little bit compared to the NBA.
My Dodgers were on fire until last night. They snapped a 7-game winning streak and a 20-game winning streak at home dating back to last season. But unfortunately, the bats went to sleep last night. But my Dodgers are looking good so far, Bill. They're looking good.
Well, I don't. Last year right here on Wise Kracks, you predicted they were going to win the World Series, win 120 games, and that was another one of your well thought out plans that went to pot. So,
I've dropped the win total this year down to 118. I'm predicting 118 wins right here on Wise Kracks as an official prediction.
118, you should get about 3-1 odds. That's probably not enough. So,
is that really what the odds would be on that? That's terrible.
The season wins was what, 99.5 or 100?
Right. Yeah.
So I think winning that much would be really hard to do out of 160.
More NBA news. Kyrie Irving. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. He got fined $50,000 for giving the middle finger in response to being heckled by some fans. I kind of support this, but before we started the show, you disagree.
I mean, listen, you're making 40, 50 million a year. I think you should be allowed to take some heckling and don't try to go after the fans and the crowd and stuff. No, I don't like it. But they're only human, and I guess they can only take so much. We've seen one of the reporters had something to say on this just yesterday or a couple of days ago, and about he was leaving the stands, going to underneath the stadium, and someone said something to him, and he said something really bad back, which we can't even repeat. We could, but we just don't choose to do that on the show. And he just you got listen. It's going to happen more and more. It's going to happen more and more when there's more bets on the games and the individual players. A lot of these sports books push these same game parlays, which normally involves the individual players' prop bets to go over under points or rebounds or whatever it may be. So maybe you're going to get some more and more fans that maybe go after the individual players because of these type of prop bets. But I think it's part of the game, and I think you have to you just got to put up with it.
Okay, let me ask.
I actually wish it didn't happen. I wish you lose. If you're a fan of the game and you're a sports bettor, lose like a man. Like a man, or don't fight. So
they're both wrong, is what you're saying. Is the fan is wrong and then the player's wrong? Let me ask you this: is there a line that if a fan crosses where you go, all right, well, he had it coming. The fan had it coming because he said, something.
You shouldn't really curse at the players or say things that it's a personal jab at them.
Right.
And, you really shouldn't do that. I'm in disagreement with the fans doing that, but I'm I'm even a little bit more in disagreement with the player going back at them. You just have to ignore them. It's part of the game.
Yeah, I think I might be more sensitive to it because I sat in the stands a lot of games, like with Chris Benson's first wife, Anna, on days he would pitch, and some of the things, and, you're in the friends and family section, right? But right next to that section is just regular fans, right? And they don't realize who they're sitting next to or behind them and in front of them, whatever. And some of the stuff they would say, if Chris has a bad day and he's getting lit up or giving up some homers, whatever, it's tough to sit there and just take it and act like
John, time out.
Okay, go.
Time out.
What?
This is in LA, right? You're saying?
Well, yeah, this was at like Dodger Stadium or even
John, don't be so. You're telling me the fans in L.A. went after Chris Benson a baseball game? Try to go to Philadelphia or New York and deal with those fans.
Right.
And then come back and tell me, Chris, your feelings are a little bit hurt. Give me a break. Come on.
You're not having it? No? Suck it up? All right.
Please.
Damn.
God.
Fine.
Yeah. Throw snowballs at Santa Claus in Philly, pal. Give it a break. What do you think they're going to do with the players?
Right. All right, fair enough, Crack. Oh, man, that's good stuff. All right, well, listen, I should remind people that not only have you been on fire with golf, but just sports in general. This has been a pretty good last month or two, I want to say, for you.
Month, the last few weeks have been really good. I'm not one that talks about a few weeks, though. I'm one that more talks about the history and being transparent about the history of it. So we have had a great Crack wins couple of seasons here since I opened the app. And, okay, maybe we have a losing month here or there, but boy, I tell you, we had like 8 losing months. We lost in February, but 8 winning months in a row before that. And again, now we're starting to pick it up again where we left off in January, and looking forward to it again. It's been fun.
Yeah, so be sure to download the app, guys. It's on Apple, it's on Google Play. Also, you can go to crackwins.com, and you can get everything there. And, NBA playoffs, PGA, baseball season, obviously, just getting underway. And even NASCAR, some wins. So download the app and start building up your bankroll with Crack Wins. And also, don't forget to head on over to WSN.com. We delayed the start of the show today because you were like, hold on, I got to go to WSN.com. And you legit love the articles there.
Yeah, it's funny. I started commenting before the show about the articles. I said, I really should say this for the show because there's some great articles on WSN. Of course, I love stuff with bonuses and stuff, but just some of the articles that I find there and can't find anywhere else. So there's great ones on New York State having 1.62 billion in handle last month. I mean, that's like almost double what Nevada did. New York is the king of sports books as far as volume goes. And there's some articles on WSN that I didn't even know that there's more sports books coming aboard now, being legalized in New York. To handle the traffic and overflow here. But that means some good things for you people too at home, because that means bonus time. So you can go on there and you can literally click on New York, choose your state, click on that. I can go to the great state of New York, and you can see which bonuses are available for you. And WSN has negotiated some great bonuses. Caesars, I see a $1,500 match bonus. $1,000 at FanDuel, $1,000 at BetMGM, risk-free. DraftKings, $1,000 bonus deposit. I like deposit matches. That's what I this is just New York State. Like I said, you could choose your state, go on your own state, and find out what you can get for signing up through WSN. They have negotiated the best deals. Some of these things, if you go to like the site directly or a Google search for a site, because they have to pay for that Google search, they're not going to give you a bonus that's negotiated for a site like WSN. I mean, they have better bonuses. So at points bet up to 2,000, 2 risk-free bets up to 2,000. This is New Jersey now. Tipico, 750 risk-free. Some great stuff. Also, that's the bonus section of WSN.com. Great stuff. Not only you can find all our podcasts there, there's a section for latest predictions, odds, and news. Of course, then you have the U.S. sports betting news, which I just told you. Stories about which states are coming along here: Maine, Kentucky, in New York State Mobile, the new provisions for the new providers that are joining New York, Ohio. Sports betting have until January 1st to set up and launch. That's interesting and really good. Ohio has a bunch of sports bettors there. Some big sports betting towns in Ohio: Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton, across the whole state that people love betting sports. So great articles, great things. WSN.com. Do not miss WSN.com with lots of these great bonuses too. That's where I go for them.
All right, Bill, I'm real excited about this. We've got a surprise guest. I don't know much about him. I want you to tell me, who do you have for us today?
This is a friend of mine who I just spontaneously decided we should bring him on. He has such good stories, and he's I'm going to even call him legendary. The more I think about the people that he's worked with, promoting everyone from Frank Sinatra to Grateful Dead, LL Cool J, Queen Latifah, even knows your dad, Tony Orlando himself. And he was telling me about some shows he was doing with Willie Nelson, Liza Minnelli, the Beach Boys.
Wow.
And he also is a gambler, which I like. He's been gambling on sports for over 60 years, which I find it unbelievable when someone's betting sports in like 1960 compared to now, like what was available there. I know back when I was a kid, I think about that. I think about someone then. We never even called it sports betting. So we were so nervous to talk on the phone or anything. But let's bring him in. Hey, Jim, are you there?
I'm here, Billy. Thank you.
Thanks. Good. No problem. I hope I set you up there well. Jim, tell us, how did you get into promoting? Like, when did that happen? So we're going to talk more promoting here, and then we'll get into sports betting after. How did you get into this racket?
Okay. So when I was a kid, I played a lot of instruments, and I love music. And, everybody talks about how when they were a kid, they did all this for the love of music. But the truth of it is that people like me as a teenager, we mostly did it to try to get girls.
Oh, okay.
That was like the underlying motivation, But anyway, I played a bunch of instruments, and I was writing songs with guys that went to Cornell, and I was at Hamilton at the time. And we used to live in the summer in Woodstock on Ohio Mountain Road, which was like the top of the mountain. And we would just like do music morning, noon, and night there. And there was a lady in the town named Pam Copeland. Of course, Woodstock was like, this was before the big Woodstock Festival. This is like 67, 66, 67. And this lady who lived in town named Pam Copeland, every weekend she had what was called sound festivals on this big open area of land. And there was music every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And of course, you needed 1 million bands. So some were famous, some were not famous. She used us almost every weekend because we were good and we lived there. And I'll never forget, she charged at the time $20 for a car. So, if there's one person in the car, it's $20. If there's 6 people in the car, it's $20. And then if you were going to camp, instead of 20, it was 40.
Wow.
But that was an amazing way to, meet 1 million different musicians. And one of the things that I found out there was that the famous bands were not famous because they were better. They just had something happen that resulted in them getting airplay and becoming famous. And there's all these bands that played there that nobody ever heard of that were like twice as good as the famous ones. But because of that experience, I just said, I'm going to raise a family. I'm not going to be a musician traveling on the road away from my family. So I want to stay in the business. So why don't I try to do what she's doing? And that's how I got interested in promoting.
Yeah, well, Jim, I mean, my obvious question is, what did you do with my dad? I'm curious. I want to hear.
Yeah, so back, a million years ago, there were in the Northeast 8 theaters in the round.
Oh, right.
And what that means is that the stage is in the middle, and the stage revolves slowly throughout the show. And the audience is seated above and around in a circle, like 2,400 seats, let's say. But the stage is in the middle at the bottom, and the seats surround it, and they go up higher as you get back toward the end. But those theaters, like Westbury is probably the most famous one. And a lot of the acts, like your dad, played that circuit. So, if we had Tony Orlando and Dawn on, let's say, Thursday night, the chances are that they were in Westbury on the Friday, that they had been in Valley Forge on the Wednesday.
Valley Forge, right?
Most of these acts played the circuit, maybe not all 8 of the theaters in the round, but probably between 5 and 8. And it was just like a mini, now it's our time to play the theaters in the round.
Wow. So would you have been one that booked him in Westbury, like in 98? Were you still doing work?
I was still doing it in 98. The place that I was at was called the Starlight, and I was there 30 years, and they closed in about 2002, I think. And I'll just tell you really briefly that it was really weird because the guy that was running the place at that time, over the 30 years, there were different people that were like the owner of the place. And I worked there no matter who the owner was, because I did like about 800 different hats, including booking the place. But the guy that had it at that time owned a theater in the round in North Tonawanda near Buffalo, and he had built that place. So we're at the end of the summer. This was only open like May through Labor Day.
Okay.
And it was like a tent. It looked like an enclosed tent. So what happened was that he came to meet with us, and we had made $300,000 profit that summer. And he had lost his shirt in Tonawanda. He had lost probably $600,000 in Tonawanda. So he came to us and he said, what a great job we had all done. And because of money, he could only run one place the next year, the upcoming year. And so we're all waiting for him to say that, he's going to keep the Starlight open, which is where we are. But he says, I'm going to keep Tonawanda open because it's my baby. I built it. It's my baby. So we closed, even though we were making good money. And he continued the next year in Tonawanda and didn't even make it through the summer. So that was like a really stupid decision on his part, but it left us high and dry. And I went to the guy that owned the theater, and I said, I want a 10-year lease on it, and I want the first year rent free because I've got to do about $100,000 in upgrades and repairs and stuff. And he said, I'm in favor of that deal. I don't mind the structure of it and the money end of it, but what I'm trying to do is sell the whole property. So I said, okay, so we're right into the deal that if you get a buyer for the property, our agreement is null and void. And he still wouldn't do it.
Really?
So it ended up that, because he was a lunatic. But anyway,
you were going to use a different word, and you subbed in lunatic.
Yeah. But then, the theater then closed, and that was it. But to this day, all the people in the Albany, New York area, they remember the Starlight. And the thing that was really funny about it was that it was always hotter than hell in there, and people would use the program to fan themselves. And as uncomfortable as it was, you can ask anybody to this day what they thought about the Starlight, and they all said it was the greatest theater they ever were in.
I remember being there. I have absolutely been there. I've been to Westbury, and I remember my dad loving both of those venues.
I tell you, I really love watching the old Johnny Carsons with Buddy Hackett, and if anyone doesn't know who Buddy Hackett is, just Google Johnny Carson duck joke, D-U-C-K. One of the greatest skits I've ever seen on Johnny Carson. Buddy Hackett, the great Buddy Hackett. Hey, Jim, speaking of Albany, you're heading to Albany tomorrow. Tell the listeners and viewers why.
Yeah, so we're in Florida. We tend to spend 4 to 5 months in the winter down here instead of in the frozen tundra where we live near Albany. And by the way, it snowed there yesterday.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
But we're driving up. We're going to stop this Saturday in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, because I've got an oldie show there this Saturday. And then
who's going to be there? Who's at the show? Who's at the oldie show?
It's the Duprees,
Duprees,
who are fantastic.
Sure.
See the pyramids along the Nile.
See the pyramids. Yeah, I can sing. It's great. Who else?
So we've got Dennis Stefano, who was the lead singer of the Buckinghams. They had all kinds of great songs. We've got the Capris, who have one of the greatest lead singers of all time, whose name is Michael D'Amore. We've got Jay Siegel's Tokens, which is the Lions.
Love the Tokens. The Lions sleeps tonight.
Songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got this guy, Charlie Gracie, and most people don't know who that is, but he's from Philly, and he was the first rock and roll star out of Philly. And that was in about 58, 1958 was when he was like at the heat of his popularity. But he was like a rock and roll idol before there were really rock and roll idols. And he's still to this day very popular in Europe. He's like around 80-ish years old, and he still tours Europe every other year.
Cool. And give us some, going to breakfast with you, I learned some things here. Some of these bands and singers are prima donnas, but yet other ones are really good guys and good people. You mentioned that you were friends with Bobby Rydell. Of course, John's dad was also. I went to go see him in Vegas, and that day or that morning, Bobby passed, and Tony was very upset. So you were friends with him. You went out with him a lot, and so he was one of the good guys, right?
Yeah, Bobby Rydell was a great guy, and one of the things I loved about him, and most of these guys, just so you know, most of these guys are great guys. There's obviously exceptions like there are in life everywhere, but most of these guys are great guys. A lot of these oldies acts are getting toward the age of 80, and I know that none of them ever believed that they would be on stage singing these songs at the age of 80 when they were growing up.
Yep.
But they're all just really glad to still deliver great music to the audience, and they're really glad that the audience is there to go back in time with them through their music and relive the days of their youth. And so that's the whole idea of these shows, and it works out really good. But Bobby Rydell was a great guy, and what I loved the most about him was he never had a bad word to say about anybody, and we used to go out drinking.
Yeah.
He was quite the drinker, and whenever we had a show together, we'd go out drinking afterwards, and then he was a great singer and a great drinker also. But so even if he wasn't on my show, but he was in the area at a fair or something like that, he'd always call me and say, come see the show and we'll go out afterward and all that. And so we used to do that. And needless to say, we got to know each other really well. He's from Philadelphia. I was born in Philadelphia. So anyway, toward the end of, I would say maybe about 6 years ago, his health was failing, and he needed a new kidney and a new liver. And he was in the hospital, and they were trying to get him to the top of the donor list. And it ended up that he got the liver and kidney from a 16-year-old girl that had died in an accident.
Wow.
And he called me up from the hospital, and he said, I said, "How you feeling, Bobby?" He said, I feel great. I just got the new liver, the new kidney, and now you and me can go drinking for another 65 years.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. That's something. Wow, that's good. That's good that you have some of the good memories with some of these doo-wop bands. I've taken my mom a couple times to the Beacon Theater. I've taken her, and I told you at breakfast I seen every band. The last one I went to, every band had the lead singer of the Five Satins, which Fred Parrish just passed.
Freddie Parrish.
Fantastic. What was their big song, Jim? They had a giant song. I mean, we all know it. I just can't think of it. Anyway, the Five Satins have one of the best songs of all time. I'll Google it real quick. But the Shirelles were there, and I thought they were fantastic.
Shirley Austin Reeves.
Shirley
one of
Austin
the great
Reeves.
ladies of all time. Shirley Austin Reeves.
Oh, yeah. And my cousin
retired last year at the age of 80.
Oh, wow. Okay. And my cousin who was in Larry Chance and the Earls, he's the drummer. He was also there. But the song I'm thinking of course, is In the Still of the Night.
Oh,
which is a very
classic.
Very, very classic song. And I got to see them. And so many more bands. The Tokens were one of them. The Duprees. They were so good. I really enjoyed. Jim, who's the guy that came out? He closed the show. He had a cane. And he did the Duke of Earl.
That was Gene Chandler, the Duke of Earl.
Gene Chandler blew the audience away in the end, coming out in that tuxedo with the top hat and the Duke of Earl. Oh, man, it was so good.
Well, the Coasters, the Drifters. When I do my oldie shows, I have an MC, and his name is Harry G., the Duke of Doo-Wop. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And so at the beginning of the show, the band goes into a vamp of Duke of Earl, and he comes down the aisle, in his, black cape with a black top hat, and hands out roses to the ladies as he walks down the aisle. And then he comes up onto the stage and introduces the show. So that's kind of the shtick that we use that's all in tribute to Gene Chandler, the Duke of Earl.
The crowds are getting older and unfortunately passing off, and this is going to be something that's extinct. The bands are going to be extinct here in the next 20 years or even less, maybe. This was an era that will never be forgotten, and you're special because you were involved. And sometimes we have to pinch ourselves and not really, think back on this was something that a lot of future generations, not a lot, all of them are never going to be able to say they've been involved with. So you're really blessed for that.
Yeah, you're right.
You're really blessed there.
It's so special. It's so special. As you said in the intro, I've done everything from A to Z musically with different genres of music. But the oldie shows are my favorite shows, especially in recent years. And the reason is that the connection between the artist and the audience is so strong that you can almost like reach out and touch it.
That's a great point.
It brings them back to an era of when, let's just face it, a time period when the earth was probably a better place. So I'll just say that and try to be politically correct here. John, do you have anything else for Jim? If not, I'm going to get into sports betting stuff.
Well, go ahead. I was thinking sports betting. I'm curious to see if he's betting on my Dodgers to win the World Series and my Cowboys to win the Super Bowl. Do you acknowledge that's going to happen, Jim? The Dodgers win the World Series this year? Are you on board with this?
John, you're too chalky, man.
Oh, no. Jim, very, very observant. John is very, very chalky. And the reason why we have a good mix on the show, I like to have that because he's relative to a lot of the public. So that's why I like to have him on there. But Jim, I'm going to tell the audience how we met. So we met through a guy up in Saratoga at the racetrack where I went many, many summers in a row when I lived on the East Coast. I still go once in a while. I'm looking forward to go this summer. And and we met through someone that was there. I ran into him at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas, and you guys are friends. You're about the same age. I think you maybe we don't have a visual, but these guys are old hipsters, man. They got ponytails. They're cool, man. They're still living the dream.
Billy, you were living in the penthouse at the Nugget in those days.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that recently on the show, Jim. Were you up in that room with us? Did you ever see that room on the 18th floor?
No, Ivan told me about it, but I was not. No.
That was an amazing time that no one can ever understand in corporate America today, living up in the penthouse at the top of the Nugget. But yeah, so that's where I met Ivan, and then I got to meet you, and every time you guys came out for years before we actually even talked about you were enthralled that I was a winning sports bettor, and it took years maybe to actually start giving you my plays and getting involved. Whereas we actually were going back and forth, and I was advising you on plays and telling you what to do, and giving you my stuff. And what we said,
and I was
this is the reason why
making money.
You were making money. This is the reason why I wanted to bring you on the show too, because I never really thought to bring. I'm pretty humble, Jim. You notice I don't ever brag or something. You never hear me brag about anything in person. I actually wish I was a little bit more marketing type of guy out there. And these guys show bricks of money and their fancy cars and homes. It's just not me. I just don't do that. But
the flip side of that, Billy, is that there's all these guys that are trying to hustle people. Lock of the year, sign up with me now, and claim that they're hitting 70 or 80% or whatever. If people are really hitting, people are winning consistently, they're not out there advertising it, and they're not out there bragging about it. They take pride in what they do, and they make money consistently. And it's a rare. I think, I would say maybe 5%, maybe less than that.
Much less,
of gamblers
Jim. Much less
make money.
It's less than 1% of sports bettors.
Yeah. So look at the rarefied air that you're in.
Yeah, no. So, but you said something interesting. You said you were playing with two local guys for 30, or maybe three, for 30 years. And said,
I started when I was 13, and when I was a kid, I was into sports, and in terms of playing it. But I also had every baseball card. I couldned sleep at night if I was missing one card for every baseball player. And I used to memorize the statistics on the back of the card for each player. And then my father and I used to listen in Albany late at night to Philadelphia Phillies games on the radio. So I was a huge baseball fan. And I had friends that owned what was called the New York Supermarket in Albany. It was actually in the black part of town. And I used to hang out there once in a while at that supermarket because I got a kick out of the old Jewish guys that owned it. And they bet sports with these guys, Nate and Joe, who were if you look up in the encyclopedia, if there are any encyclopedias anymore, old time Italian bookmakers, their pictures should have been in there because these two, real Italian guys, suit and tie every day, started their day with breakfast and then to the barber shop for a shave, and just the two classiest guys in the world. And the guy that
gentlemen bookmakers, they were called, I guess, back then.
Yeah. Exactly.
What year, Jim? What year was this? What year? This is like the 60s.
This was 61.
Wow.
Wow, that's the year my dad started in showbiz, 1961.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so this is so there, Jim.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that there was bookmakers. So they were booking sports in 1961. They were.
Absolutely,
Wow.
because there was no, I would say, only a small percentage of the population was betting, but they all bet with these guys because there was no OTB, there was no FanDuel, there was no,
of course.
island offices,
So they would settle up in this little barber shop. That's where they would conduct business. That was the way to conduct business amongst men back then.
Yeah, absolutely, and the guidance that they gave me from day one was something I never forgot. And by the way, these guys became kind of mentors to me, not just in gambling but in life, And they were the classiest guys, the nicest guys. They do anything for you, and the guidance that they gave me was, number one, bet what you can afford to lose. And at that time, I'm a 13-year-old kid. How much money do I have? So, they said, don't be ashamed. Don't think it's going to be weird if you just bet like $1 on a game. That's fine. Bet what you can afford to bet. And then, and the other thing was never go beyond what your bankroll allows you to do.
Wow, they were giving that advice out back then. Course, Jesus.
Billy, 8 million people that have blown their life savings and all that.
Absolutely.
That guidance that they gave me has stuck with me through all these years. And I would say for the first 20 or 25 years that I was betting, I would say I lost almost every year. Not a ton of money, but lost. And only maybe in the last 15 to 20 years have I sort of been winning.
Sort of.
So my thing is that you're saying the last 15, so that would be, if I will brag a little bit, that will be since you met me. You've actually been winning. But I want you to talk and tell John and all the listeners here what you told me, which probably, I don't know, it shouldn't have shocked me. I've seen everything and heard everything. You said that you were playing with a couple guys for 30 years that threw you out after 6 months of me, helping you out with plays. And I had when I was first, early on when I was putting in stuff you were giving me, I was betting with 4 guys that I had bet with for roughly 30 years, and not only bet with them, but social friends and. Go out to lunch and go have a few drinks. Guys that I knew year in and year out. And never did we stiff each other ever. And it was like a perfect relationship. And after about 6 months, they paid me, these 2 guys, they paid me and they cut me off. And they said, we just can't afford to keep your business. Unbelievable.
And so not only did I lose them as places where I could bet, but I also, sort of lost their friendship over it too. And then a third guy, who was always very honorable, I was playing with him from Florida, and we would settle up when I got back to Albany. And he owed me 30, and he died.
Oh,
so I never saw that 30. So out of the 4 guys, one of the guys is still around and still taking my action. But,
Jim, you said
the greatest percentage.
But you said something there. You said that you lost their friendship. I got news for you, Jim. They were never friends to begin with.
No,
they weren't. I hate to tell you that. They're friends and friendly and going out and buying you a drink or meal because you lost every year for 20 plus years.
Right.
As soon as you got back some of your money, not all of your money, you got back a little piece of your money, they threw you out.
Yep.
And I'm just telling you now, they were never your friends to begin with. So,
well, the amazing thing that I didn't tell you about one of them, Billy, is that his place always had the best line. And he would give me a free half point for betting the board.
Oh, and God. That's an old school thing. Oh, yeah.
No, I know. Yeah. So he had the best line, and then I would go the other way with other offices and try to hit middles. And so invariably I was losing to him and winning from other people because he had the sharpest line. So, for years and years and years, I did nothing but pay him. And he's one of the guys that cut me off.
Oh, that's terrible. See what I mean? They're not your friends.
I got one more great story for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So another one of the old-time Italian guys, okay? So this was the weirdest season because it's football season and it's the NFL, and he's letting me bet the Daily News line on the NFL games on Tuesday. Okay? And I know, for 9 out of 10 games, I know which way the line is going to move by Sunday, So it was $300 a game, and I bet the board, the NFL board, not the total, just the side, every Tuesday from the Daily News line. So I get to Sunday, and I'd have like 3 or 4 point middles on a lot of games, and all I did was lose every week.
Wow, that's unbelievable! Really, you lost.
Yeah.
But,
so on this one, so I went to his house to settle once a week on Tuesdays. Where we would, share the Daily News and all that. So this one Tuesday, Cuomo is running for re-election for governor. Okay, not Andrew Cuomo, his father.
Yeah, his father. Yeah, 25, 30 years ago. Yeah.
Mario.
Yeah. Mario. Yeah. So of course, this guy being, a loyal Italian is 100% sure that Cuomo is going to be reelected. Now, I knew Mario Cuomo and I really liked him. And his wife was unbelievable, by the way, one of the greatest ladies ever. But anyway, he was convinced. So I owed him $3,400. He was convinced that Cuomo was going to win, and I said, "Well, what odds will you give me on Pataki?" And of course, I didn't like Pataki, but I thought he had a good chance to win. So he said, "I'll give you 17-1."
Oh my God!
So I bet $200, and Pataki won. And it wiped out the 3,400.
Oh, wow. You got even with him. You were betting election odds before there was election odds legal to bet on. Which now most of the sports books have that. But back then there wasn't. That's great. So, John, did you find any of that? I'll throw it over to John or Wendell. Did you find any of those stories incredible, though? He's betting with these guys for all these years. They're friends. They're going out. They're hanging out. They throw him out. And say, "Oh, I can't beat you no more." After only getting back a small portion of the money he lost, that's this business we're in. It's a terrible business. I always say they should open up sites. WeWantLosersOnly.com. It really is terrible. Yeah. Anything else for Jim?
Man, this was great. I mean, it's just the showbiz history. And I'm always impressed by your knowledge of the oldies and all that stuff. I mean, you really go deep, and you have so much knowledge. It's crazy to me that you know what you know.
It's funny, John, you say that. I told Jim at breakfast this morning, I said, "Jim, do you know if there would be like 3 different, if you had like a subject, if I would put up on Twitter and say, the 3 things you don't know and maybe even be shocked about Bill Krackomberger. One would be cemetery tours. As you know, I love going to cemeteries like I just did Jackie Gleason's. 2 would probably be my range of music. I love music. I'll listen to everything from the oldies doo-wop shows I love to classic rock, probably my favorite genre of music, but Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Dean Martin, and then I'll go into opera. I love to just chill to some opera or jazz in the background, some quiet jazz, and I'll listen to almost anything except for like rap music. I won't listen to none of that. But I did like the old Run DMC back in the day. And I think I was talking about LL Cool J was a great guy. I met him and I thought he was great. And I like some of his older stuff. But I'm not really, now I won't listen to anything now. I just don't like the way some of the, for kids and stuff. I don't like the way some of it's geared towards. I'm big on setting examples and doing the right thing. And so I'll listen to almost anything. And I love music, and to hear Jim's stories about the things he's still promoting, and him being around with Sinatra, your dad, the Grateful Dead, and even he did some things like you said with Queen Latifah and LL Cool J. So, Jim, we really appreciate you coming on and taking out some time here. What do you got, John? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Jim, I would just leave you with this. I know you get picks from Crack, but, I just wanted to, I want to spread the love too and just give you, I'm just going to give you these, Jim. It's Dodgers not only to win the World Series, but it's Dodgers to break the season win total of 116. Wow. That's going to happen this year. And the Cowboys, I've been saying, are going to win the Super Bowl, I want to say since 95 or whenever the last time they won it, 96. So sooner or later, I got to be right, Jim. Put your best customers in Cowboys to win it all.
Time,
Jim, thanks for coming on. We'll talk soon. Have a safe trip back
guys.
to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you.
Bye-bye.
Well, Bill, this was another fun show, and I loved having Jim on the show. That was a nice little surprise. So much rich showbiz history there, and he's a sports bettor. You got to love that.
He's a sports bettor. I love it. He's approaching 80 years old. Great guy. I loved. He looks like a kid, though. If you see him, you wouldn't believe him.
Really?
He's got a ponytail. He's in great shape. I mean, he'll be around another 20 years. Don't worry.
Wow.
Great stuff, guys. Great stuff.
Man.
Thanks for tuning in.
Well, let's do it again next week. Are you back in studio next week? Are you on the world tour?
Jersey.
All right.
Jersey for the draft.
Fair enough. That's right. We will talk to you then, and we will talk to all of you watching next week on Wise Kracks.